Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. I want to thank you all for taking some time out of your day today to participate in this presentation. My name is Andreas Bitsarakis, and I am the Director of Broadband for Select Spectrum. And I have the great pleasure of managing our semi-annual 2.5 gigahertz spectrum lease auction. Today, we will be going over the 2.5 gigahertz band, our auction, and some of the benefits of acquiring 2.5 gigahertz spectrum rights. And most importantly, in my opinion, the advantages of gaining full access to our website and participating in our auction. We will also provide a walkthrough on how to place a bid in our auction. We are very much looking forward to the auction, which will commence on Friday, November 2nd, 2018. Prior Select Spectrum auctions have been extremely successful, and the structure provides for a streamlined and efficient process for both potential lessees and license holders. Please note, we do have some time set aside at the end of the presentation for any questions that you might have. What you're going to want to do is go to selectspectrum.com/SLA. That will bring you to the web page with all of the information and important documents for the auction. We also have previous webinars on this page in relation to the auction. Here's our bidder's agreement for download if you haven't already gotten that, and that is needed to be granted full access into the website. We have some band summaries, auction summaries, frequently asked questions, and then the standard bid form and the multiple bid form. Now, assuming that you've already gotten your agreement in and you've registered for the website, you're going to want to click Spectrum Lease Auction Login. You'll enter the credentials that you created during registration here and simply press Sign in. If you haven't created a username and password yet, you can click here on New User Sign Up. After logging in, you will have all of the information about all of the licenses available in the upcoming auction, including pop counts and accurate maps. As you see here, megahertz pops, and if it's an EBS or BRS license. You will notice on the map, zoom in a little bit more, that there are two shades of blue that represent the licenses. The dark blue is what we call a committed license, and these are license holders that have hired Select Spectrum to market their license and are actively pursuing a sale or lease. The light blue are potentially available licenses, and according to the FCC's records, they do not have a lease, or if they have a lease, it will be expiring soon. You can still place bids on these licenses, and we will present them to the respective license holders. We actually found that this process is very successful, and we have closed several deals this way. There are many different types of options. You can filter by state. So for this example, let's just look at licenses in Texas. You can continue filtering by county if you would like. Let's take a look at some of the reports that are generated once we select a license. So what this means here is that there are three licenses that are basically overlaying each other, so three contiguous licenses, and you can select which one that you would want to look at. So let's look at WLX 311. And it'll show us the license holder, the channel group, the megahertz, center county, center state, example city, population, megahertz pop, and if it's an EBS or BRS license. So as you see here, there's a little chunk missing out, and we'll go over that in a moment. So let's go over an example of evaluation. For this example, I want to use WLX 703. So I'm going to run that search now, and it brings me right here to Hiko Independent School District. And it has a population of 46,393 and 22.5 megahertz. After you determine the licenses you wish to bid on, you'll want to go back to the SLA page. Now that we're looking at WLX 703, let's jump back to the Select Spectrum website. So once again, Select Spectrum. and we're going to do /SLA, which stands for Spectrum Lease Auction. The first thing we're going to want to download is our lease net present value calculator spreadsheet. And I've gotten it ready already. So I'll just go here. Hopefully everyone can see this. Let me make it as big as possible and maybe zoom in a bit. All right, so this is the default spreadsheet once you download it. After you open the spreadsheet, you'll have to input some of the information from the secure auction site, specifically the megahertz and population into the green cells. If you recall, WLX 703 was 22.5 megahertz, so we're good there, but it had a population of 46,393. So let's add that in. Let's click out, and as you see, all the numbers have adjusted. After that, you'll want to go to the blue price proposal cell to input the dollars per megahertz pop offer you plan to submit. The rule of thumb we provide bidders is a 5 cents per megahertz pop for a rural license. Obviously, offers will vary based on whether bidders think it'll be competitive or other factors. We encourage bidders to submit offers that they feel are fair and will be accepted by the license holders. So at 5 cents megahertz pop, this license, it would be $10,000 up front. Initially, it would be $302 per month with a 3% annual increase. Your next year will go to $311, year 3 to $321. Now, keep in mind, this is something that we think is attractive to license holders. Ultimately, your own, your bid is your own at the end of the day. If you like to get rid of this annual increase, you'll see all the numbers will change. Say you only want to do a 1% annual increase. There you go. Say you like round numbers a little better than the 302, you can just start at 300. That makes sense. Or if you want to be a little bit more attractive and stand out, you can jump it up to 400. And the sheet will react accordingly. Like I said, this spreadsheet can be manipulated to reflect different bids. Let's say you thought this license is not a rural license and this particular scenario was going to be competitive. So you wanted to submit a higher offer. You would put in, let's say, 7 cents per megahertz pop. And as you see, everything would change accordingly. Basically, what I want everyone to know is that the spreadsheet is just a tool and a guide to assist in creating bids. Once you have the financial aspects of the bid created, you'll want to go back to the SLA page. Let's get out of here for a moment. And we're back to SLA, and we're going to want to download the standard bid form. So I took the liberty to fill one out pre-presentation so you didn't have to watch my slow typing. Call sign license included in the bid. For this scenario, we went with WLX 703. If there's any additional call signs you could list, what I would suggest is if you are bidding on multiple call signs, I would fill out a separate sheet for each. Earliest effective date requested, in this case, I want it as soon as possible. Now, keep in mind, these are educational institutions that we're speaking with. It can take time to get board approval, and the velocity of the decision making is sometimes a bit slower. So I would recommend also trying to keep that window open as long as possible in regard to how long you'd be interested. Initial term, let's say 10 years, and the max term per the FCC for one of these leases is 30 years. Obviously, an operator would want the max term considering all of the investment and equipment that they're making. Once that's complete, we are going to go back. Well, let me go over a few other things. I apologize. So the upfront payment that was in our MPV, the periodic payment, whatever it is, let's just guess it was $436 per month. Annual increase percentage. Describe any other proposed payments, one-time payments, renewal payments, other special payments. You can get creative here if you think something might look attractive. Service credits are the educational reservation required by the FCC. For this example, I'd use $200 per month, which basically equates to 4 free connections valued at $50 per month, which would be giving to the license holder. List any compensation, benefits, or services proposed to be provided by the bidder. I used an example, free broadband for the local police station. We've seen things like this in the past, but it's not necessary to include beyond the use of the spectrum and other typical provisions of spectrum leases. List any specific bidder requirements or requests. So you might say something like ability to place a radio on top of the school's roof, or anything that you think would be beneficial to you. So once this is all complete, let me juggle up the website here again. So we should be logged in. There we go. We're going to go to place a bid after we save that file. And keep in mind too, you can also download the bid application here in this window. We recommend choosing a name that includes your company name and the call sign for the bid. So let's say, for me, Select Spectrum underscore, that's not let me underscore, but WLX 703. I'll have to choose the file. Give me a second here. There we are. I'm going to choose that file. I'm going to upload it. And keep in mind also, if you're uncomfortable kind of with this and you rather just send it as, in an email as an attachment, they also can be sent to bids@selectspectrum.com. So let's upload this test. There we go. As you see on top, it says your bid, Select Spectrum, WLX 703, has been received. Very good. You'll also get an email notification. Now, like I mentioned before, if you're bidding on multiple call signs, I would basically repeat that process for each call sign. If you'd like to submit them all at once, you can reach out to me or send them to the bids@selectspectrum.com. We also can make it work that way. I'd like to now touch on some requirements the FCC has in order to ensure the license and lease remains in good standing with the FCC. The FCC requires that a part of the license, specifically 5%, is reserved for educational purposes. Those were the service credits that we were just looking at on the sheet. This is typically accomplished by giving the license holder a certain number of free accounts that can be used on the network, also known as service credits. The maximum duration for any lease signed today is 30 years, but any lease signed prior to January 10th, 2005 has a maximum term of 15 years. So if a lease was signed in 2003, it would expire in 2018, regardless of what the lease states. Now that we've gone over the background information on 2.5 gigahertz licenses, I would like to spend some time talking about the upcoming auction process and what to expect after the first bid date. I should clarify that it is less of an auction and more of a secondary market. This is not an open process like eBay where you know what all the other people are bidding. It is a sealed process and only the license holders and Select Spectrum will know what bids they received. To date, we have over 185 completed transactions as a result of this process, and many more deals are in the negotiation phase. In our prior auctions, the bids ranged from less than 4 cents per megahertz pop to greater than 20 cents per megahertz pop. In the upcoming auction, we have over 265 2.5 gigahertz licenses available that will be featured. Completed agreements are due by 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, November 1st, and bidding starts the following day on Friday, November 2nd at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Bidding will conclude a week later on November 8th at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We will have all the offers presented to respective license holders the following week by November 15th. If you are interested in participating in the auction and or taking a look at our nationwide 2.5 gigahertz availability map resource, please find our bidders agreement on our website if you don't already have one. You may also reach out to me via email or phone and I'll be happy to send an agreement over and answer any questions that you might have. If you would like to find out what is available in your area before completing an agreement, that makes sense and I can help you out with that as well. Once you have completed our agreement and registered on our website, which will grant you access to the full site, you will have everything you need to participate in the auction. We will be conducting a last call webinar for bidders, which will be a Q&A next Thursday, October 25th, for any last minute questions any potential bidders may have. The registration link can now be found on Select Spectrum's webpage. I want to thank everyone that attended today for taking time to be out here and listening to our presentation and learning more about this. Like I said, if any other questions pop up, please don't hesitate to reach me by email or phone, and I'll make sure to get back to you in a timely manner. Thanks again, and enjoy your day.